you are, what city you're in, what state you're in, what country you're in, citywide, statewide, nationwide, worldwide. We are the three-man rush. I am the big O, Jerry Ostroski. She is Sara Larson. And remember to smash the like button, the subscribe buttons, hit all that. Help us out. But as always, this three-man rush episode is brought to you by Picasso's Pizza on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network. Treat yourself to the most flavorful, best pizza on game day. Picasso's. We are Buffalo's Pizza. Shop local. You got a shipping local, nationwide. Order online, picassospizza.net. Sara, it sounds like you haven't been eating much Picasso's pizza lately.
Yeah,
not because it's not good.
Definitely not. I actually really like Picasso's pizza, so I got to try it a couple weeks back when I was in Buffalo. But yeah, I came back home on Monday, and unfortunately, throughout the day, I started feeling worse and worse. And by Monday night, I kind of was down for the count. And Tuesday, I woke up with pretty severe stomach bug. So I've been struggling through this week. Today was the first time I've actually been able to like eat something and keep it down. So hopefully I'll get right before my flight out Saturday.
Now, you know what my mother would say, Sara, you're just doing too much. You're doing too much.
Trust
You're
me,
not
that's pretty much.
resting. You're not resting enough. You're trying
Yeah.
to do too many things.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I've been getting back with most people texting me. Pretty much exactly what they're all saying. So
Yeah, well, we know your love for the Bills, and we'll talk about them in a little bit. We'll talk about the rest of the NFL playoff games going on this weekend. But we, as a show and as a network, you know, we've got something coming up that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, and I'm going to let you kind of let our listeners in a little bit on what we got going on and what we're going to start doing tonight as we move towards game day.
yeah, so we are definitely excited. I mean, I am. I'm like a little kid in a candy store here. We're going to be going out in 2 weeks to the Senior Bowl, and we're going to be able to, watch these really highly touted college prospects that kind of like the precursor is what I call it to what the combine's going to be. The Shrine Bowl is going to be the same week, so we are going to be split a little bit on some of the participants, but I'm still really looking forward to it and getting to see some of these guys. And a lot of them, they're not going to be your first round picks. They're going to be the guys that are really putting their names out there, trying to move up their draft prospects. So I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. I'm a nerd for all that stuff. Jerry, do I still got you?
Uh, Yeah, you still got me. I think I had a little bit of a technical glitch, but as you were saying, we're having an opportunity to go to the Senior Bowl, to get credentialed, to be able to be down there all week long, be up on the ropes next to the general managers, the head coaches, and the rest of the scouts, and actually get a chance to see these players up close and personal. What's funny about this is in 1991, I was able to go to the Senior Bowl as a senior from the University of Tulsa, and it was a really, for a player, it can be a very nerve-wracking week. You're meeting with coaches, you're meeting with GMs, you're meeting with teams and scouts,
Right.
and doing personality tests and all different types of things. And then you have practice on top of it. But back then, the coverage of the Senior Bowl wasn't like it is today. It was important, and it was much more. I would say it was much more intimate as far as between the NFL teams and the players. Now, with the with the onslaught of digital content creation, with all the other outlets that are out there at the Senior Bowl, the NFL Network will have every practice on TV. You can watch every play live on the NFL Network, and it's huge. And we're getting a chance to be up close and personal. It should be
Yeah.
pretty neat.
Yeah, 80 and my friend, well, he's also part of the network. Sterling sent me a little tidbit the other day. 82% of the people that were the prospects that were drafted last year went to the Senior Bowl. So,
Right.
I mean, that's huge. And they just picked the coaching staffs. which will be, which is cool for them to be able to work not only for the players themselves, but for the coaches. So you have defensive coordinators and offensive coordinators that are being put into head coach roles, and you have
Right.
quarterback coaches being put in offensive coordinator roles. So it's kind of a chance for everyone to step up and learn and grow. And I'm just definitely looking forward to it. Like I said, I kind of geek out with all this stuff, so I'm definitely
Right.
looking forward to it. But our plan for this show, obviously, the second half, as always, will cover the NFL, but it's to kind of go through some of the positions. This week we're going to do quarterbacks and running backs that are going to be at the Senior Bowl. Picked a couple from each, for everyone to keep their eyes out. Now, obviously, a lot of those people on the Buffalo Rumblings Network are Bills fans. We're definitely, going to be recruiting quarterbacks. So I'm sure you guys are so interested in quarterbacks right now. No, I'm joking. But it's just still interesting to see who's out there, so you can pay attention and see who other teams, especially teams in our division, who they're looking forward
Right.
to drafting. So, and who's out there. So this week Jerry's going to be covering quarterbacks, and I have the running backs. And I don't know. You want to take it over?
Yeah. One thing about this game, and it usually the Senior Bowl usually brings the top tier talent from across the country as far as college football seniors go. The quarterback position this year in the Senior Bowl, not kind of a marquee or pedigree group. I mean, this is a group that's not you've got your Bryce Youngs and those guys, your CJ Strouds not in this game. Some of the names and some of the people that we do have, TCU's Max Duggan is on this list. I think he's the guy as far as the quarterback that has the potential to increase his stock the most. We've seen him play not only in the college football semifinal, but also the final game. I think the biggest thing about Max is, and a lot of people kind of say that his style is very Tim Tebow-esque, right? Tremendous competitor, tremendous leader, tremendous athlete, but does his game really correlate to the NFL? Tebow was there for a minute. Obviously, we know that didn't work out, but with San Francisco bringing Brock Purdy off the bench as a number 3 quarterback on their team and having the success that he's having, there are some skill set similarities between the two. I do think Purdy's probably a little bit more of a natural passer, but still they're very similar players, leadership styles and all that. So if you look at this, does Max get a chance now in the NFL because of what Brock Purdy's doing in San Francisco? I think there is a team out there that takes a chance on him. I do think he's a second day pick, or I say second day. I guess it would be third day pick because we go first round, then second, third round, and then the rest of them, correct, I believe. So I'd say he's probably a third day pick. But really, how does his game translate? He's a great runner. He's faster than you think. He's a guy that probably has a chance to run below. Definitely running the 4.6s, has a chance to run below 4.6 in the 4.5s. But is his passing that good? He has problems throwing the ball in traffic, as we saw in that national championship game. He is not a pure passer. He is mobile, but he's not a pure passer. So I think that's really what he's going to have to do at Senior Bowl week. He's going to have to go ahead and prove some people that he can throw the ball in pressure situations. Jaron Hall's a guy from BYU, 6'1", 205, had a very, very good 2022. He's a fourth-year guy. He can run a little bit. He ran the ball 86 times for 346 yards. He's a guy that I like because he's gotten better every year. 6'1", 205, not necessarily prototype NFL size. You look at him, he's probably an undrafted free agent, I would say, maybe a late third day guy. The guy that a lot of people are talking about is from a university, and I don't know if you've ever heard of
I've never heard
University.
of it. No.
But Shepherd University is a guy named Tyson Bagent. And Bagent is a guy who has a big frame. He's 6'3", 215. He still is a little bit lanky. He has room to fill out. But I think his frame does need more bulk, but I think he can get it. He's very mobile. He's a versatile passer. He can throw the ball. The thing about him that's interesting, if you see some of these quarterbacks lately, he's got multiple arm angles. He can throw it a lot like my guy from San Diego does right now, Justin Herbert. He's a guy that's got multiple arm angles. He can avoid pressure and getting the ball knocked down because he can throw it in different arm slots. I mean, his career numbers are just absolutely stupid. He's thrown for 12,454 yards and 118 touchdown passes, right? This is like high school numbers, okay?
Is Shepherd Division 2 or 3?
Yes, it's a Division 2 school.
Division 2. Okay.
He won some national awards. So this guy's, obviously the Senior Bowl every year brings in a couple of D2 guys that are from off the wall that you don't know about, and they bring in to compete against the D1 guys, which is what it's about, right? I mean, this is what it's all about. If you're good, they're going to find you. I think he is definitely a third day, maybe free agent guy, but he's a guy that can stick because I hate this term. You and I are probably going to use it a million times, Sarah. I hate it, but upside is the term that everybody uses. He's got tremendous upside. And, the NFL guys, they will tell you we're the best coaches in the world, so we can coach anybody up. We can coach anybody to be good. So he will get a chance. And, Sarah, I think the guy that is on the fence right now, whether he comes to the Senior Bowl or not, he is not committed. But I think a lot of people really want him there is Will Levis from Kentucky. That is your true blue potential first-round pick with this quarterback group. Jake Hayner from Fresno State is there, undrafted free agent, guy that might be a backup. Clayton Tune, I've watched quite a bit at Houston. I think he's played 9 years at the University of Houston. He can throw the ball in that system. Not sure how that correlates to the NFL. I don't know if he does enough. I don't know if he's a dynamic enough quarterback as far as running the ball or running with his feet and being mobile, but he can throw it. He's a guy that's in the game as well. But if Levis shows up, he's your potential first-round guy. Prototypical size, 6'3", 232. He's an accurate passer. He's very mobile. He's got a huge arm. He transferred to Kentucky from Penn State. But if you start listening, if you start really looking at some of his, not only his positives, but his negatives, as far as maybe has a little bit of trouble feel as a passer, maybe not necessarily good in traffic. Because we're a Buffalo slanted podcast, I would say that Levis probably translates the most to a young Josh Allen of the people in this draft. Huge arm, huge body, can run it, highly athletic, but is going to need to refine himself a little bit in the passing game, which is the NFL, which is small windows, timing routes, and things of that nature. So hopefully Levis shows up and you get a chance to see a guy who's a potential first-round pick. And the other thing is this. If he does show up, Sarah, it's better for these other players because now they can compare themselves to a guy that these NFL scouts right now are saying is a guy that could go in the first round.
Right.
So hopefully he does it not only for the game to bring interest to the game, but hopefully he does it also for the other prospects.
Yeah. In your opinion, though, do you think this year, because I mean, last year we had some pretty well-known quarterbacks in at the game. Do you feel like it's because it's kind of set this year of who's really a first-round draft pick when it comes to quarterbacks?
No, I just don't think we have a ton of highly rated draft picks this year as far as quarterbacks go. I think this is I don't say it's a extremely poor year, but I think it's one of those you're either hitting home runs or you're bunting.
Gotcha.
I think you got guys like Bryce Young, you got guys like CJ Stroud. I mean, you throw Levis in that group, you've got some talent. I mean, you got some playmakers. I mean, and people are, I think it was Daniel Jeremiah likens, although his frame is not the same size, he likens Bryce Young to Aaron Rodgers. That's a tremendous comparison. I mean, you talk comparisons. I mean, it's amazing, but I just don't think it's a year for quarterbacks. I really don't. So that's what's going to be really interesting in this draft. If 2 or 3 really come to the forefront, what are these teams going to do that need quarterbacks badly to get up into that top part of the first round to get them? And this is my favorite part of the draft.
Do they reach if it's really not the quarterback of the future and they're just going for the best quarterback in the draft? So
exactly. And it's You got guys like Jordan Love that did well in Senior Bowls, and they get picked in the first round. They're still not playing. So
Yeah.
I mean, we'll
Yeah.
see what happens.
I mean, you can blame a little bit of Rodgers for that, but
Yeah,
and a little bit of Green Bay.
right,
Um, well, yeah. So I took a look at the running backs, and obviously, kind of the same situation. We do have a few running backs that are, probably second, third, fourth, and fifth round. That will be at the Senior Bowl. Obviously, I think the number one pick for running backs is going to be Bijan Robinson. I don't think that there's, a question there. Um, Gibbs from Alabama will probably be the second running back off the board and might not even be in the first round. If the first round, it might be towards the end, or starting into the second round. So again, not a lot of people are going to pick a running back in the first round, but Robinson is one of those people that are kind of projected to be there. Um, there are some Senior Bowl names that are, or people not going to the Senior Bowl that we will focus on down the road, especially at the combine, that I can't wait to look forward to, especially, some local guys like Syracuse, the running back Tucker. That's going to be fun as well. But at the Senior Bowl, the people, if you see scrolling down, Chase Brown's going to be there from Illinois, Eric Gray from Oklahoma, Evan Hall from Northwestern, Roshan Johnson from Texas, Kenny McIntosh from Georgia, and Cameron Peoples from Appalachian State. Those are all the people that are running backs that are going to be in Mobile, Alabama for the Senior Bowl. Eric Gray from Oklahoma, to me, is probably one of the most interesting of the running backs that we're going to be able to see there. He is a lot of comparisons and everything to a Miles Sanders. So kind of, the the mixture of pass and run type of back.
right.
He'll be probably a number two for the most part, or a complementary back, but 5'10", 211. Um, Pretty much everything that I've been reading up on, and I have watched him play. He's a 4'4" guy, pretty, quick on his feet. So he has a lot of that burst. Like, he's going to hit the hole and he's going to take everybody with him. He's very agile and elusive, and he excels at the screen game. His weaknesses, though, are pass protection. Every single thing that I have read up on the guy, it's the same knock. It definitely has an issue with how he pass protects. So they're looking at whether or not it's correctable. Most people think that it is a correctable flaw of his. But he is one of the guys that is a transfer portal person. He started at Tennessee and then ended up at Oklahoma, where he just kind of went crazy. His last year, he was averaging over 6.5 yards per carry. I'm looking forward to it. The one other thing is that he really just protects the ball, and I think that that's what most people want to see. To be in one of the Big Five conferences and still be able to really protect the ball against more elite defenses, is what everyone's looking forward to. But again, a lot of people comparing him to Miles Sanders, which Philadelphia's has no problem with what they have there.
No,
So I think that he'll be an interesting, probably still day three or late day two. So late, third round, early fourth round, is kind of where I have seen him projected to go. This is a pretty deep running back group. Where we could see a lot of running backs come off the board. Whether or not they'll ever amount to something is a whole nother question. That's a lot of people are wondering how they're going to translate to the NFL. But Eric Gray is definitely someone to look forward to looking at. Um, the next person I have is actually probably going to be a surprise for some people, because I said Bijan Robinson is probably going to be the number one running back off the board. But it's Roshan Johnson, which was actually his number two running back at Texas. Um, Again, probably early day three, fourth, fifth round type of back, but it's because of his size. He's a 6'2" guy, 223 pounds, big, hard hitting. Um, and he's young. He's only 21, so he's still got, some room to grow there. A lot of people look at him as a starting running back in the NFL, which will be interesting to see. Someone coming off the board in the fourth or fifth round that will, be able to adapt and become that starting role. But a lot of people have him projected to be a lot like Latavius Murray. I was trying to figure out
Right.
Murray's first name.
Right.
Just big guy. He's not as big as like Henry is and stuff like that, but he is one of those guys that when he lowers his shoulders, you're gonna feel it. Is what a lot of people are writing about. His most promising attributes though is his vision. They say that he has excellent vision, but he works better in space. So he's not one that is always going to take it up the middle, but he's very patient and he has really good vision. The other thing that they said about him is, again, he's one of those people that protects the ball. In the last 2 years, he's only had, I think it was one fumble. Yes, one fumble in the last 2 years with all of his attempts. I think he had 95 attempts in 2021 and 94 attempts in 2022. So to have one fumble on, almost 200 attempts is pretty great. He's also very good at pass protection, and he actually is willing and aggressive at it. Like he likes to do it. So, um, we could look forward to someone. I know the Bills could look forward to someone like that. To
Yes.
have someone sitting in the backfield that wants to be aggressive and make sure they're protecting Josh in that process. So, definitely interesting. The one thing that we all also talk about is the ability to run downfield and actually break tackles, and not going down the second they're hit. And he actually leads the whole country in shaking those tackles. So broken tackles rate over the last 2 seasons he leads. So I think it'll be a very interesting pick if they do pick him up again. He being a senior and being behind Robinson, he hasn't had as many touches as Robinson has. But I think that there's enough tape on him as a senior that he'll still be a third day pick. But I still think early in the third round, or yeah, early in the fourth round. And then the third person I picked out was Chase Brown. And that's because I actually watched a lot of Illinois this year. And I liked the guy. He was at one point a Heisman candidate. Very quick he's another 4.4 guy. He is a fifth year senior. So he's a little bit older. I think he's 23. I didn't write it down, but I think he's 23. So a little bit older, but one of the years that he played, he actually only played one game. He had a transfer year, and he was only in for 1 year. He is being very heavily touted towards Mozart for the Dolphins. So he's one of those guys that likes to catch the ball. He's pretty good at that when he's not being matched up with somebody. So he's really good on the screen passes. He's agile, elusive as well. They say his weaknesses though is that he's more of a perimeter guy. He hits the perimeter really quick, but sometimes he'll go to the perimeter instead of up the middle, even if the middle's showing that
Right.
he's got the space. And again, another one that's very shaky in pass protection. So a lot of people are saying that he's a very small guy. He is 5'11", 205, but that's pretty much his capacity. They don't think he's going to be able to put on any weight because of his small frame. They think that that's kind of where he's gonna stay. But for the last 2 years, he's had over 1,000 yards. This year, he had over 1,600 yards. He has almost a 6 point yards per carry. Between the 2 years, it's like a 5.5 yard per carry. So he's definitely got what a lot of teams want. The question is whether or not they're going to be afraid that he's that smaller back, and whether or not he can remain healthy enough over the span of his career, if he's not going to be able to put on any more weight or anything. He doesn't do as much in the passing game as the other two, but he had 240 yards this past year on 27 receptions. So the yards per reception though
Right.
is great.
When you look at these backs, and obviously there's other backs, in the Shrine game and stuff, but are we? I've seen Bijan listed as high as 3. I've seen him listed, top 10 on a regular basis. Is he that guy? Is he the back that you take in the top 10? Is he? I keep looking at, is he a Saquon Barkley? Is he Ezekiel Elliott?
I never feel that way about running backs, to be honest with you. I'm just so nervous to draft that early. But a lot of his average draft projection is around 8. So just kind of depending on when we look at how everyone I have not looked at what the final the final tally of who's drafting top 10 in what order exactly. I think Chicago's going to draft them at him at 1? No. So little things like that. Could he go 3? Depends on who's drafting there. If it's someone, if it's a team that might really think that that he can open it up, sure. I just get super nervous when it comes to running backs in the first round to begin with.
The disappointing thing about what you said, and if anybody caught, when you're listening to Sarah, if you caught this theme with these running backs lately, way too many times she said, and when they start talking about weaknesses, they don't like to pick up the pass rush. They're not pass rushing. They're not pass rushing running backs. If that is the case, their athletic ability better be really, really good, because they're not going to get picked high if they can't protect the quarterback. Yeah. Now, and some of them's technique, and it's coaches figure they'll get them out of it. A lot of it is want to, and if you don't have the want to, then you're not going to play.
And I think that's what's so fascinating about Roschon Johnson is that literally, and I probably, and I watched him because of Bijan Robinson. I did watch Texas quite a bit this year. A lot of everything that I've read, a lot of what I've seen is that want to. He has a willingness and a want to pass protect. So not only is he that big body back that, some teams really want, especially, in goal line positions, someone who is not going to fumble, someone that they can trust on third down, but also someone that's going to step in and make sure that your quarterback is safe on on those downs. It's something that will be interesting, and I'm definitely he's my little asterisk for the Bills if we wait to mid round to pick up somebody. Two other backs that are going to be there that I wrote up something about, and I will share it on Twitter. On the 3-man rush Twitter is Kenny McIntosh of Georgia and Chris Rodriguez of Kentucky. They're probably day 2 guys, or maybe very, very, very early on day 3. But I do think that they might be a second. Some of them might be second or third round, depending on how quickly running backs fall off the board day 1 and day 2.
It's funny you talk about these running backs, and great job, Sarah. When you talk about these running backs, I think the way the game is evolving and the way the game is changing, rushing the football is important. Obviously, that's in the name, right? Running back. But I think the biggest thing about these backs nowadays is, besides the pass pro, you've got to be able to catch the ball out of the backfield. It's becoming such a passing oriented game that your running backs really have to be a weapon in the pass game. And that's like a guy, who's the best guy you can look at right now? I mean, Josh Jacobs, right? I mean, it's a guy that's going to make, stupid money. I mean, it's a $50 million guy, but he does it all. He's a three skill guy. He runs it well, he catches it well, and he protects the quarterback well. And, I think that those latter two are becoming more and more important in the NFL. But, I don't like running backs necessarily in the first round. The way things are going, running backs are becoming, 4 or 5 year guys, and they're finding somebody else. But, my wish list right now is, and I put it up on the chat, and if you have any questions for us after you smash that like button and subscribe button, hit us on the chat. But, my wish list is wide receiver, offensive line, safety, without getting into the reason why safety's number 3. Inside defensive lineman, we need size. We need Ted Washington types. And then running back. You know, my running back is later on. I think there's a lot of really good quality in the running back. I think this is a year where you're not going to find as many home run hitters at running back, but you're going to find a lot of quality late in the draft, guys that can help your football team win.
I agree. I agree. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. Like I said, the running backs are going to be, I think, interesting, and I'm actually looking forward to hoping that we grab somebody more late. So hopefully I'm right, and it ends
Exactly.
up being who I want. All right. So we're gonna shift gears. So next week we'll finish out the offense, and then we will do the defense the week that we're at the Senior Bowl when we do our show that week.
Hey,
Um,
real quick, shout out to my Tulsa Bills backers group.
oh, that's awesome.
I met my guy tonight. Got some Tulsa Bill backers stickers. I'm fired up about it.
I love it. I love it. All right. So we're gonna start with the NFC. We're gonna move over into divisional weekend and start talking some football, some
I think
NFL football.
this is probably my favorite week of football. Okay, I believe that the divisional rounds, the 4 games, this is the best football of the year. I really think that. If you look at these games and the quality of these football games, this is my favorite weekend of the year by far, and I'm excited to talk about it.
All right. So first game we're gonna talk about, we have the Giants at Philadelphia. Philadelphia is 7.5 point favorites, and the over under is 48, and that's Saturday evening on Fox. So what are you thinking here? Do you think the Giants have a chance?
I think they have a great chance because they have a wonderful head coach who used to happen to be our wonderful offensive coordinator. Um, I, uh, I totally completely dig um, Dybul. I think he's a wonderful coach. Understand the narrative that was Daniel Jones last year, right? They wanted to run him out of the league.
Mhm.
Now all of a sudden we're talking about Daniel Jones signing big money extensions and
Yep.
being the quarterback of the future.
I don't
There's
know.
a reason
Dable might
why.
be he might be the quarterback whisperer.
Right, exactly. And my man Joab is on the chat with us. He's listening in. He is my man that started the Tulsa Bills backers here in the great city of Tulsa, Oklahoma. So props to him, and we'll talk about him more later. But no, I think the Giants have a chance, but Saquon Barkley's getting ready to run the football into one of the best rush defenses in the league. The other deal is this: I don't really think we could sit here, Sarah, and talk at length until we're blue in the face about this game and matchups and everything else. To me, it comes down to one thing only, and I absolutely cannot believe I'm saying this. It comes down to whether Jalen Hurts is healthy or not. He is a full go participant in practice.
Right.
He hasn't had any issues this week. He had a bye week. That's not saying he doesn't take a shot on his shoulder and all of a sudden he's back in the situation he was. This is just a tremendous football team with Jalen Hurts playing, and I have been the biggest negative. I have been the biggest negative person about Howie Roseman for years, and that's the general manager of the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'll be honest with you, he believed in Jalen Hurts, and it's coming back to him for his belief. So if you look at this defensively, the Eagles just dominate. 4th in total yards, 1st in passing yards, 16th rushing, 7th in points, 14th on 3rd down. I think that's where the Giants can make some hay. Is they're 5th in the league in 3rd down conversions, staying on the field, keeping drives going. That's because they don't make a lot of mistakes early, and they keep their 3rd downs at 6 or less, and keep them very manageable. But offensively, the Eagles have just, run roughshod over the Giants, except for rushing yards. The Giants are 4th in the league with Saquon Barkley at 148.2 yards a game. So I think it'll be a tremendous game. I think it'll be tight early. Jalen Hurts stays healthy. They cover the 7.5 points, and they win at home in the city of brotherly hate. I think they move on to the NFC Finals.
Well, I'm agreeing with you that Philadelphia is going to cover. I am a little bit more of a disagreement that that the Giants have a chance. Um, I really don't think. I mean, obviously, you play the game to play the game. I will be rooting for the Giants to win. I definitely would love to see them and Dable. Um, definitely stick it to Philadelphia, even though Philadelphia was my preseason choice for the Super Bowl.
How? How?
It was
How?
when they when they
How?
when they brought over AJ Brown and CJ Chauncey Gardner.
I'm an Eagles fan. I grew up there.
Yeah,
How could I
yeah.
just this whole Jalen Hurts
And
thing just
I
has me
said
miffed.
CJ Chauncey, that's his name, Chauncey. So
Right,
Gardner Johnson, CJ.
right.
When they brought him over and when they brought over Brown, I was like, this is a big time squad. And then they brought over Bradbury too. I was like, they're definitely
Right.
stocking up. So that is why I think that one of the best offseason moves that they made was those two. It was picking up those two. But they're just, I mean, they're stacked in every position. They have one of the best, if not the best center in the league. Miles Sanders is killing it. Obviously they have, 1-2 combo at wide receiver with the Devonta Smith and AJ Brown. I'm
Well,
looking down at my notes.
who's one and who two? Who's one
It
and who's
doesn't, it's
two?
1A,
Right.
1B.
It
I
doesn't
mean,
matter.
it doesn't matter.
This is a stable of. You're right. I
Yeah.
mean, the receivers are stupid. How many
So
receivers
the question is, and like you said, how is Hurts? How hurt is Hurts?
are.
So,
And
um,
don't forget Dallas Goddard. I mean, he's turned
yeah.
into a tremendous weapon at tight end as
Yeah.
well.
So I think we'll look at it as I think that the one thing the Giants have going for them also is that they didn't have the bye week. And I say that in a way is that they're still flowing and Philadelphia has taken some time off. And obviously the last couple of games of the season they weren't really Philadelphia. So um it's whether or not they can get back to where they were prior to the end of the season when Hurts got injured. But I think that if we're gonna, name top three coaches this year, for coach of the year, Sirianni is probably one of my top picks. I honestly would love to see
Yeah.
McDermott, but a lot of people, question if his on field successes are the same as his off field ones. I think a 13-3 record should mitigate all that talk, but
Yeah,
it is what it is.
but
But I think Sirianni is definitely worthy of the honor this year.
Sirianni getting Jalen Hurts to play the way he's playing. I mean, the man might walk on water in his spare time. I mean, it's a tremendous job coaching, and you're right. He probably deserves heavy coach of the year honors, especially if they win this week and get to that NFC game, that championship game.
Yeah, so I definitely have Philadelphia covering, and I actually have it going over 48.
Ooh,
I feel like it's going to be a little bit of a scoring game. I feel like if the Giants want to stay in it, it needs to be because I feel like that's when they excel a little bit more is when
right.
Daniel Jones is actually, in a groove. And I'd love to see Hodgins have a good game. I'm rooting for him, and I mean, but they're just when you look at the two different rosters, it's just crazy to me because the Giants are literally starting guys that couldn't even make couldn't even make the starting
Yeah.
roster elsewhere as their number one and two wide receivers.
But you
So
also got to feel good about Hodgins and Feliciano too. Ex Bills getting a chance to play.
eh, I'm was a Feliciano fan, but he's irked me a little bit the last off season. So I mean, he's a U guy, so I was always all about the
I
U
tried
and
to
all about
set you.
him.
I set you up. I was surprised you went that way.
But he's frustrated. Like when you leave, I
Right.
get when you leave a relationship, there's not a lot
Right.
of nice things to say, but you know I don't
Right.
know. I've always like I guess I stay friendly, like don't burn bridges. I don't know.
Right.
I don't think the
Right.
fan base did anything to him really until he started being a jerk about everything. So,
Right. Right.
uh, all right. And then the second NFC game of the weekend is the Dallas Cowboys at San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are 3.5 point favorites, and the over under is 46. And that is Sunday evening, and that'll be the final game of the weekend.
You got a Dallas Cowboys team that really needs to have Zeke and Pollard run the football, right? You're playing the first ranked defense in the league against the rush. The Niners only give up 77 yards a game. They are punishing on defense when it comes to the run, and they don't have to bring a bunch of people up in the box to do it. They will beat you straight up. Now all of a sudden you're putting an onus upon Dak Prescott. And when I look at this matchup, and while offensively their numbers are pretty equal, and the Cowboys are actually ahead in a few areas, including third down percentage, but a lot of that third down percentage is that way because the running game of the Cowboys keeps them in third and short. I just don't see it. I think the only way that this game gets interesting the Cowboys have a chance to play well, and I think the Cowboys have a chance of upsetting San Francisco if they can turn the ball over, if they get San Fran to turn the ball over. But we haven't seen that, so to speak, of right now. But again, just tremendous defense. First in total yards, second in rushing yards, first in points. They are 16th in third down percentage. And also this is the area where the Cowboys can maybe get after them a little bit if they can protect, with Bosa with 18.5 sacks is, San Fran only ranks 20th against the pass. So that's how it's going to be. It's going to be turnovers. If the Cowboys are in it, they're getting turnovers, and they found a way to pass the football. But I don't know. I just don't see it. I think this 49er team is on a mission. I love Shanahan. I love what he does. They're gassed up right now and ready to go. So I like San Fran, and I like them. I'll tell you what, I'm surprised it's only 3.5 points.
Really?
But I'll take San Fran in the 3.5.
All right. Well, I think San Fran's going to win, but I'm not going to have him covering. I'm going to say by 3. I think that the Cowboys, depending on what Dak they get, is what we're gonna, is pretty much the offense we're gonna see from them. I obviously think Pollard is one of the best running backs in the NFL, and I'm glad that they kind of have him starting and handling the ball more than Zeke at this point. Um, I think that the whole story of the game though is going to be whether or not Dallas's defense, when you have Parsons and Barr and them, whether or not they can get after Purdy and make him, finally, go against a defense that makes him a little nervous and agitated a little bit. And we'll see if they can kind of promote some of those turnovers when he gets that way. We really haven't seen that play from Purdy yet, because I don't think he's really felt the need. He's been protected pretty well. He's had, pretty decent games, but he
Right.
hasn't needed, to go crazy. He hasn't needed to put the team on his back. So, the team's kind of, he's just been that steady, consistent piece that is needed to control the game. So, let's see if you have some linemen in his face, if he's the same consistent quarterback. So I do think San Fran, they just have too many pieces with, Debo and McCaffrey. It's just too many in the end. So I do think they are still going to pull it off. But I do think that it will be 3 points, not 3.5. So I'm going to say Cowboys with the points. With that being said, if the Dak Prescott that showed up in week 18 shows, up at all this weekend, it's going to be a blowout. It will be ridiculous in a blowout. So they played well though last week. So I think it'll be closer than people expect.
I do think it'll be a good game, and you made a great point. And I think the point about Brock Purdy throwing the ball in traffic, we haven't seen that yet. I think Brock does move around better than most, and he can get himself some space. But I will say that's where I believe if there are turnovers to be had, that's where it's going to be had. It's going to be him throwing interceptions. Cowboys are going to need to do a really good job of disguising coverages, confusing them. If they do get that pass rush, I think they can get him to make some big mistakes. And I think that was a great point you made about him throwing the ball with pressure. But I will say, I think that's the beauty of the Niners team. They do have the ability to really take pressure off of him with their running game. And the Christian McCaffrey trade was probably the best pickup in football up to the deadline.
Yeah.
I mean, just a
Mid-season, I agree.
wonderful pickup for them. Without getting into the whole John Lynch McCaffrey family sob story that we can talk about, but no, some people. There's a lot of people picking the Cowboys outright. Not only picking the Cowboys, but getting after them pretty good. So
Well, San
we'll
Fran's my
see.
new pick. The way they've just been playing towards the end of the year, and then after them picking up McCaffrey, I honestly think that they might just be a smidgen better than Philadelphia when push comes to shove because of their defense. Obviously, Philadelphia has the better quarterback. I'm not gonna put Purdy in any kind of discussions with Hurts anytime soon. So San Fran is now my NFC pick for the Super Bowl. I do think that it'll be them against Philadelphia next week, obviously. So we'll see how it plays out.
All right, next game. What do we got? We got the
All right.
Jaguars.
We got the
Jaguars at
Jaguars
Kansas
and the
City.
Chiefs. Yeah. So we number 4 Jaguars at number 1 Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs are 8.5-point favorites. No surprise there. The over under is 52.5. And that is the first game of the weekend, Saturday at 4:30.
Um, I really want to pick Jacksonville.
I do too.
I so want to pick Jacksonville, and I'm going to pick Jacksonville. I
Wow.
shouldn't. I shouldn't pick Jacksonville, but I don't know, man. I got a feeling. I just every year there's that one team that comes out of nowhere, right? Um, Kansas City is such a timing oriented offense. They had the week off. I think it's going to hurt them more than anything. We talked a little bit last week about Doug Pederson and his relationship with Andy Reid and his inside knowledge of Andy Reid's offense and what they got going on. I don't think that and the funny, crazy thing is their numbers are still just ridiculous. I mean, the Chiefs are ranked first in total yards, first in passing, first in points, second and third down conversions. They're only 20th in rushing, but really, why do they need to rush the ball when they pass it the way they do? But it's just there's just something about this game that makes me think that Jacksonville has the pieces that can really create a good game and a good matchup against Kansas City. So as long as Trevor Lawrence doesn't lose his mind and if they find a way to keep him upright, then you look at both defenses; they're both pretty much the same. It's about the same across the board.
I actually think Jacksonville's defense is better with Josh Allen, and then they have the Trayvon Walker. I think
Right,
he's a rookie, right? Yeah, he was one of the first
right.
picks.
Um,
So
Statistically, they're behind.
are they really?
Yeah,
I've
statistically, they are
yeah.
behind. But I do think that I agree with you. I think they match up well. I just do. I like what they got going on, and I mean, I'm going to take Jacksonville.
All
Call me
right.
crazy.
Well, I'm going to take Jacksonville with the points, but I I still think Kansas City is going to win. I do have them as a 7-point victor. But I will be rooting all for everything I have for Jacksonville to win, not because I want to face Jacksonville and not because I don't want to face Kansas City, but because I would love to have the AFC Championship game in Buffalo. Um and I see what Buffalo turns into. To having an AFC conference championship in Buffalo would be just amazing. But again, what Jacksonville did last week, they came out looking like I'm afraid that they might come out looking with, against Kansas City. Going
Right.
down, what was it, 27 points or 27 to 3?
Yeah.
They can't do that against Kansas City.
No.
They just can't. Now when Trevor Lawrence, sucked it up and I don't know, snapped out of it, he was just different. And I don't know if that was, adjustments they made at halftime, if that was Peterson. whatever it was, they had some type of epiphany and came back out. And we were almost joking about it throughout the whole game. Like, oh, there's no way. Oh, they scored one touchdown. Oh, there's no way. It just became a joke. And then we started they're going to pull this off. They're going to pull this off. And they just looked unbelievable in the second half. So if they can come out and play that game against Kansas City, I think Kansas City, who has not been playing all that well, could have their have their worries with especially with the run game, with ETN. So I look forward to seeing them, give them all types of fits. I would love to see Jacksonville figure it out. Kansas City coming off the bye. They did look good in week 18. We can all sit here and say that they, didn't look good for the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season, but they looked good in week 18. So, and it's still Mahomes. So I'm not gonna give them a pass and say that, there's no way, Kansas City's can lose, because there is a way that they can lose. But I think the game will be closer than the 8.5.
Yeah.
But I like that you're picking Jacksonville. Go ahead. Do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
The last time I did this, TC got blown out of the water. But no, I just have a feeling. I just think we're due for something like this, and I think this is the game that'll happen. So obviously, let's move on to the game we're all want to talk about.
What game would that be? The Bills game?
I think so. I think that would be it.
Maybe. All right. So Cincinnati at Buffalo. The Bills are 5.5-point favorites. The over under is 8.5, or the over and under is 48.5. And it's Sunday at 3:00. To be honest with you, I was extremely surprised when I saw that we were 5.5-point favorites. Not dissing our team at all. But so many people are picking Cincinnati outright that I thought that differential would have been a lot closer.
I think that, and we're going to put some points of the game up here in a moment, but I think that first, up until the tragic situation with DeMar, okay, it was almost like one of those deals where, and you've seen them. I mean, Miami's had these types of games. They have an opponent that they've been just waiting all off season to play the first game of the season, right? This game, that week when we had the situation with DeMar, that was at the time, that was their Super Bowl. They had geared everything up for that game. And you could see it in the first so many minutes of the game. I mean, they came out and they did something, and I think it started with Mixon and the things that he was saying earlier in the week. And then you watch the game and you watch some of the stuff that the tight end pulled during the game. Then you watched the defensive end purposely rolling to Josh's legs. And you've seen some of the stuff they did. And this Bengals team truly believes, and somebody asked me the other day on Hump Day last night when I was on with Spence, they're like, well, why would you say this? Those are the reasons why. If you saw the first so many minutes of that game, this Bengals team truly believes that they are more physical and a tougher team than Buffalo. It is obvious. That is the message that has been reigning through that program, has been reigning through that locker room and that team for the last so many weeks. We want Buffalo again because we are tougher than they are. We are more physical than they are. And when this game happens, we're going to punch them in the mouth and they will not respond. And I really, truly believe that is the message that's being heard this week in Cincinnati. We're going to find out if that's true or not. I don't think the Bengals are the only team in the league that feels that way. And Spence and I talked about it last night. What have we done, or what has Buffalo done to actually deserve that? I mean, for people to think that they're not a physical team. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I think that is the mantra and the message. And the first part of the game, right off the bat, we talk about our 3 keys to victory on defense. The more physical team, establish physical dominance early. And that is going to be something that offsets this this message because, you know, the only way to beat up a bully, the only way to stop a bully is to beat up a bully. And if Cincinnati thinks they're a bully, well, we need to go ahead and get after him. And I think we will do that. And our defense has done that. So that's the first thing, is to be more physical, be the more physical team, especially early, and establish physical dominance. You know, second key on defense is control the Bengals' running game. I thought the one thing the Bengals did early in the game when we did play them in Cincinnati before the stoppage, they did get mix and rolling early. I mean, they were running the ball pretty good. They were running for 5 yards plus a clip. And with that happens, I think Cincinnati does a very good job. I think Joe Burrow is a very good play-action quarterback. And we tend to have safeties. When you play that 4-2-5, especially that one box safety, he's going to stick his nose down in there, and he's going to come downhill, and he's going to bite on some stuff. And you can manipulate our safeties with play action, especially if you got the running game going early. So we need to control that running game. Hopefully Jordan Phillips and some of those guys will be able to do that and stop that running game. And then I talked about it last time we played them. I'm going to talk about it again. Defensively, the third key, you have to limit their explosive plays. They're going to get some passes. They're going to do some things that are big time explosive type stuff. You got to limit them. You got to keep these guys from just being all over the place, and taking off big pieces of yardage, one throw at a time, 30, 40, 50-yard plays. You can't have them. So I think that the main thing, and it's why I put it first, be the physical bully in this game and take it to Cincinnati. Let them know right off the bat, especially with two offensive linemen out of the game, two starters out of the game. We're here to get this. We're here to get after this. We're going to shut your run down. We're going to limit the big plays with our umbrella zone, and we're going to go ahead and win this football game. So those are my three keys on defense.
All right. Well, I did the three keys to a victory for the offense, and my first one was control the time of possession, which includes our running game, getting that established early, and then no three and outs. If we are, giving the ball back and giving them prime field position, that is going to be an issue, because Burrow's not going to take those possessions lately. Number two, do not turn the ball over, which obviously we're going to say that every week, but lately it's been more of a theme.
Yes.
So I'm going to definitely put that there. And then I have 3A and 3B because I'm going to put it both on Mr. Joshua Patrick Allen. He needs to just be unleashed. He needs to have the game of the year against Cincinnati, and then he can top that next week against whether it's the Jacksonville Jaguars or the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't care. He can then top it next week. But this is the game that he needs to get all the other negativity off, that he's had an off year and all this other BS that has been going throughout the narrative the last few weeks, that he's had an off year and whatnot. And then score 7 and not 3. We need touchdowns, not field goals. And we've been really, I'm not gonna say poor, but I feel lately we've been poorer inside the red zone with actually scoring touchdowns. We've had some turnovers, and then there's some times where we are walking away with 3 points instead of 7. So those were my 3A and 3B keys to offensive victory. I think this is my most nervous game of the year, I'll be honest. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it at all, because it's once you're in the playoffs like this, it's win or go home, and I don't want to go home. I want to keep this season going. So
right, I'm with you. I have a ton of respect for the Bengals. I think the Bengals are coached very, very well. Actually, a kid I coached in high school is the assistant receivers coach for the Cincinnati Bengals. So I've got a little bit. I've got some Brad Craigthorpe's his name. I got a buddy up there, but come Sunday, I think you're 100% correct on the unleash Josh Allen. If we run 5 plays, I want 2 of those 5 plays to be him running the football. He needs to get in the middle of it quickly. He needs to push somebody. He needs to get hit. He needs to get moving, because, I think we're, one of the things about Josh Allen right now, and we just got a few minutes before we shut down for the day or for the night, but, he has been having a little bit of issues with his accuracy on his short passes. but obviously he has any accuracy issues on his deep ball. So it leads me to believe that elbow's still not there.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. Maybe we find something at the end of the season that he's going to need to get something done. I hope not, but
Right.
one of the ways you can go ahead and get him involved without a short passing game is to get him running the football.
Yep.
And everything's on the table right now.
Yeah, of course. I'm not dissing that at all. I think that some design runs are perfect and needed. And the only other thing that I have to say is I hope Playoff Gabe returns this week like he did last week,
Right.
because it is definitely needed. The one question I have for you is, who do you think is going to be inactive at wide receiver this week? Do you think it'll be McKenzie or Brown or Shakir?
I
Because I think they'll start Beasley.
I think it'll be McKenzie.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I think that Brown gives us something in the passing game that nobody else on that team does. I know that Diggs is fast, but he's not Brown fast. Beasley's not that type of guy. Shakir is playing really, really well. Had a very good game last week. I think Gabe Davis he had a very good game last week, and reporters were really quick to point out that he was working out on the jugs machine for 30 to 40 minutes extra. I'm sure he probably does that every day, but all of a sudden they decided to report on it like it was some kind of revelation.
Right.
It just amazes me sometimes what they think is important and not important, but I don't know. I mean, if really, I think it's between McKenzie and Brown. And
Okay. Because what gets me nervous is I've heard some people think that Shakir might actually be the one inactive, and that makes me nervous because I think, like you said, he's been having some good games, and I like kind of the spark that he gives the offense when he's actually put in rotation and we
right.
target him.
And I like Brown. I think Brown's great, but there's a reason Brown was unemployed for a while and he was brought
Yeah.
up off,
Well,
brought on the practice squad. I mean, and
and
Shakir
yeah.
wasn't.
Yeah, and he missed the one target last week. Granted, if he would have kept on running, he might not have missed it. So it's I go back and forth, but I hope that it's not Shakir. That's all. Whether it's if John Brown's not brought up from the practice squad this week,
Right.
I don't know if I would hate it. If it's Mackenzie and Shakir's is starting with Beasley and Diggs and Davis. So we'll see how that all plays out. But any parting notes or anything else?
No, I just think that I hope to goodness that our offense coordinator deciding to interview for a job the day before the biggest game of the year doesn't affect anything. I hope there's a lot of
I hate that rule. I hate it.
There's a lot of little things going on right now. And, you've got that going on. You've got the Poyer situation going on. You've got a lot of little things going on, a lot of little voices being talked about. And I'm hoping it's us as fans that are feeling this and that the locker room is quiet. That's what I'm really hoping is the case. I hope that the locker room, we're not having any issues internally and that we're getting ready to play this football game, our biggest game of the year. So, I would say I'm going to pick the Bills, and I think they'll cover. I thought of taking them without covering, but I'm going to take them covering, but I don't think they're going to cover by much. I think it's going to be a tremendous game. I personally think this is the best game of the week. I really do.
I didn't have them covering for a little while because like I said, I was really surprised that it was a 5.5 point I think Spence put up there that it started at 3.5. So if it was 3.5, I would have had them covering, easily. Because I originally thought it was going to be about a 4 point game. I'm still around there, but my nerves are getting the best of me, I think. I hope that we can beat them by a touchdown or more, because I'm tired of this narrative about all everything's close games and these heart attack games. And I just I want us to get that confidence that we need going into to next week at this point.
The first 15 minutes will tell a tale. I think we will see a lot through the first 15 minutes. We're going to learn a lot about this game early. And I agree with Spence. He said earlier on the comments that we are a better football team. I do believe we are a better football team, but I also believe in matchups, and I believe that the Bengals really match up well against us. And so it's going to be a tough game, but I do think the Bills will pull it out. And I mean, I'm ready for the weekend, man. I got to work one more day. I don't want to work tomorrow. I don't want to work. I want to go to Costco. I want to buy like $300 worth of meat. I want to get my Traeger fired up, my Hasty Bake fired up, and I want to start cooking and get ready for the game. So best weekend of the year.
All right. Well, everyone, don't forget to follow us on Twitter. I have them there, especially if you want any of that content coming from the Senior Bowl. And don't forget to smash that like. We said it quite a few this time because we want to make sure you guys are subscribing and liking. And Jerry, you want to take us out?
Yep. So once again, for Sara Larson, I am the Big O, Jerry Ostroski. And hey, cheer loud and proud on Sunday. You have been listening to the Three-Man Rush here on the Buffalo Rumblings Networks. Hey, stop and pay attention. Look around, take care of one another, and make sure everybody's okay. And we'll be back next week with more right here on the Buffalo Rumblings Network. It's Three-Man Rush.